اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله سيد الأولين والآخرين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. I seek refuge with Allah from shaitan, devil, the accursed. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise belong to Allah, and may the best of peace and blessings be upon the soul of our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, his household, and his companions, and all the followers on the righteous path until the day of judgment. Allahumma ameen. Tonight, inshallah, dear brothers and sisters, we will touch on the topic of al-talaq, divorce. And this is Majlis al-Fiqh. This is a session of fiqh, or the session of the Islamic jurisprudence and rulings. We have covered the rulings of marriage, the rules of marriage in Islam. It was a quick presentation, and you can find that on the page, inshallah. And today, inshallah, we will start talking about the rulings of divorce, or ahkam al-talaq. Al-talaq, or divorce, in Arabic, linguistically means severing, to sever, al-hal, أو الانحلال. والطلاق شرعا حل عقدة النكاح بلفظ الطلاق ونحوه. In Islam, it means severing or ending the عقدة النكاح, as Allah said in the Quran, the knot or the tie of marriage, to sever that tie of marriage, undo the tie of marriage, with the word talaq, or divorce, or similar words. دليله من القرآن, the evidence for that from the Quran, Allah تبارك وتعالى, Allah the Exalted, Almighty, said, الطلاق مرتان, divorce is twice, فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان, and then holding in a kind way, or letting go in the best way. Many ayat are talking about the divorce, many verses, like this other verse, actually, and a whole surah in the Quran, Surah Al-Talaq, named the divorce. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء, to the end of the surah. So it's talking about divorce. From the Sunnah, the evidence from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, أبغض الحلال أو أبغض الحلال إلى الله تعالى الطلاق. The most detested halal, or legal thing to do to Allah, in the sight of Allah, the most hated thing in the sight of Allah is divorce. Even though it's halal, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like it to happen, or does not recommend it to happen. So talaq is there in Islam. And why is it there? The wisdom behind having the ruling of al-talaq. First of all, al-asl fi al-Islam, fi al-zawaj, fi al-Islam, the default case when it comes to marriage in Islam is that it will continue. It continues forever. Islam gives us all the etiquettes and rulings and recommendations and guidelines for the marriage to continue and to flourish between the two, the couples. But if some of these rulings, if some of these etiquettes and mannerisms of marriage from either one of the two couples or both are not taken care of, if some of these etiquettes, if some of these rulings are not being implemented or adopted or accommodated by both of them or either one of them, then this might lead to, obviously might lead to some issues. And in this case, Islam even give the guidelines in case they disagree or they fight or problems occur, what to happen. But then it might continue a tanafur, or they don't like each other, they tried everything to fix, nothing is working. then there's no way other than forcing them to continue being together or finding a way out of that relationship. In some previous sharia or rulings or ways or religions, as it might be said, talaq or divorce was not there. Marriage is a forever, everlasting union. There is no divorce. Like originally in Christianity, it is like that. There is no divorce. It is an eternal union. But that is actually leading to a lot of problems because it's normal. It happens. It will happen that two people get together, but things change and it does not work anymore for them. Allah said in the Quran, وَإِن يَتَفَرَّقَا يُغْنِ اللَّهُ كُلًّا مِّن سَعَتِهِ. If they, the couples, if they are to separate, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will suffice each one of them from his sa'ah, from his richness, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is a solution that could be used sometimes when there is no other way for life to continue. And that is, subhanAllah, because Islam is being the way of life for everybody until the day of judgment. It's given us a complete system that should work for everybody. This goes hand in hand with the fitrah, with the nature of the human beings. As they like each other, two people may like each other, they continue the life. It happens a lot that they may not like each other, or life might not go normal. Then divorce will be the solution. It's never meant to be an eternal cage or imprisonment. That is not the case. You cannot force two people to continue to be together. And as much as the Islamic Sharia has paid attention to finding ways for solution, ways of getting the two couples together in case of issues, giving a lot of guidelines for the man, giving a lot of guidelines for the woman, how to respect one another, how to just do everything, literally sacrifice and fight for this life to continue. But then it might not happen at all. In this case, divorce is the way to go. Let's talk about the different kinds of divorce in Islam. I want you to kind of forget about any kind of divorce that you know of from before, including the cultural divorces that you might have heard of, because many of the rulings that we know of are not clearly, we didn't take that clear, or we didn't really know it the right way. It's more or less a cultural thing. So there are different kinds of divorce. Technically, it depends on which layer or angle you're looking at it. So if you're looking at, there's one classification based on the status of the wife herself. If the wife is in during the time of period and the divorce happened, versus she is not during the period right now, that will give us different kinds. There's also the kind of what wording was used for divorce. There are two kinds when it comes to wording of the divorce. First of all, divorce, generally speaking, is for the man in Islam. There's a way for the woman to get out of marriage. But when we say the word talaq in Islam, woman has nothing to do with it in terms of initiating it. Again, there is a way for her to opt out of this marriage. But excuse me, when we're talking about divorce, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the husband, the one who has the tie or the control over this tie of marriage is the husband. So when it comes to the wording, we have two kinds of divorce. We have as-sarih wal-kinaya. Sarih is direct. The husband uses the direct wording of divorce. Or al-kinaya, kinaya or indirect. He uses some kind of wording that might refer to divorce or might refer to otherwise. So it depends on the wording used. The wording or the words that are used in the Quran for divorce are three: talaq, sarah, فراق, or any of the derivatives. أو مشتقاتها. Divorce, the other two words are also other shades of the meaning of divorce. طلاق, صراح, فطلقوهن فسرحوهن أو فارقوهن. These are the wording used for طلاق. If the husband uses any of these wording, like طلقتك, أنت طالق, you are divorced, I divorce you, I announce divorce, or he used صرحتك, فارقتك, any of these three words, these are direct because they are mentioned in the Quran to directly refer to divorce or severing of marriage. So if the husband uses that at any time, that does not need to go back and ask him, did you really mean divorce? No, it is direct, صريح. Also, any wording in other language that directly refer to divorce, like in English, the word divorce. Divorce does not mean anything else. When you say divorce, it means ending of marriage or severing of the relation of marriage. So if the husband uses the word divorce in English, or whatever the word in other languages that refer to talaq or divorce or ending of marriage, that's going to be direct divorce. It does not need any intention from the husband. The second kind, we're talking about wording now, based on the wording of the talaq or the divorce itself. The second kind, the first one was direct divorce, direct based on the word. The second kind is al-kinaya. Kinaya is indirect. Like he may say a word like, go home, go to your father's house, leave me, let's separate. Even the words, what do you mean separate? اذهبي حيث شئتي, روحي على بيت أبوكي. Any of these words that could be used that doesn't necessarily mean طلاق. أنت علي حرام, تحرمي علي. Many words that could be used that doesn't necessarily refer to طلاق or divorce. In this case, this is called طلاق الكناية. It's indirect. The husband should be asked, what is your intention? If you say, go out, leave me alone, we're separated, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean divorce? If his intention is, yes, I meant divorce, then it is divorce. If you say, no, 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 I just meant to just be physically apart for a little bit or something, then that does not mean divorce. So these are the two kinds باعتبار لفظ الطلاق based on the wording itself. It's either direct or indirect. Direct if the word divorce, طلاق, sarah, or firaq, or in other languages, whatever refers to divorce is used. If it is none of these wording is used to announce the divorce or refer to it, then it is kinaya or indirect. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. There is the evidence for al-kinaya when the Prophet ﷺ, in the story of Ka'b ibn Malik and the three people who were left behind, story mentioned in the Sirah, left behind after Ghazwat Tabuk, and then the Prophet ﷺ came and he told Ka'b ibn Malik to اعتزل أن يعتزل امرأته, basically to separate himself from his wife. He said, do you mean, shall I divorce her, or what do you mean? He said, no, just don't approach her. He asked his wife to go to her father's house, which means that Ka'b did not use this word or did not intend, when he told her, go to your father's house, he did not intend talaq, so it is not talaq. There is another classification of divorce based on the status of the woman. The timing when the divorce, the husband said the divorce, what status the woman was in, that will give us different categories, mainly three categories. Either talaq sunni, according to the sunnah, or bid'i, innovative, not according to the sunnah way, or talaq la yusafu bi sunniyatin wala bid'iyya, or a divorce that's not being considered Sunni or Bid'i. These are technical terms. It depends on the status. What do you mean by that? The first case is if the woman is free from the period, she's not during the period time, there's no blood. That applies to a nifas or after birth bleeding as well. The husband announces the divorce not during the menses, not during the after birth bleeding, and he announces it while she is free from that, and he did not approach her. Like she ends the period, she is clear now, he did not sexually approach her, intimacy did not happen, then he announces the divorce. That is the right way, or that is the Sunni way of announcing the divorce, waiting until she is done with the period and she is tahira or naqiya, free from blood, and then he does not approach her physically, then he announces the divorce. Allah said, فَطَلِّقُوهُنَّ لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ. Give them the divorce, having in mind the counting of the iddah, or the waiting period after the divorce. The meaning of the ayah is, Allah said, do not try to prolong or make the iddah, the waiting period after divorce, long for the woman. You try to make it, do it in the right time, because the waiting period would start right from the time that she is done with the menses and she is pure now, not having blood, and he does not approach her. This is the beginning of the count. So if he divorces her before that, all of that period would not count. She would start counting the 3 periods, technically around 3 months or period, that from that next period that will come, or whatever the period that he announced the divorce in, whenever that ends, and she is, after that, she will start counting. So that is the first case. The first case, the husband announces the divorce while his wife not being in a menses time, or not after the being in the time of afterbirth bleeding, and he did not approach her for intimacy in that period, or in that time after the period. That is the first case. The second case is the opposite. If he announces the divorce while she has the menses, or while she has the nifas, after birth bleeding, or she doesn't have the menses, she doesn't have the after birth bleeding, she is now, but he has approached her, he has the intercourse with her during that period. That is also, in all of these cases, it's called talaq bid'i, or innovative divorce. Case number 3, if the woman doesn't have the bleeding anymore, she passed that age, or she was pregnant, or he had the contract of the marriage, but he never consummated the marriage, or she is asking for divorce, which is khul'a in this case. In all of these cases, it is not to be called Sunni or Bid'i. What is the technical difference? Actually, there is no, for the first 2 cases, there is no technical difference. The talaq will happen no matter what. When he announces the divorce, the rules of divorce would apply. But then in case number 1, the husband has followed the right way, and it's okay. Case number 2, it is haram on him. It is not right for him. He does not fill the paper or the form, or do the wording, or set the wording according to what he's supposed to. That is not right for him to do that, but divorce is effective as well. So we have talaq sunni, talaq bid'i. Talaq la yusuf sunni wala bid'i. A divorce that's called sunni according to the sunnah. Talaq that's called usually bid'i or innovative. The third one is neither one of them. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The third classification of divorce, like the first classification was whether it's direct, the wording used, direct or indirect. The second classification we just mentioned, which period does the husband give the divorce, whether it's during his wife has the menses, or she doesn't have the menses, and we talked about this. The third classification is, we can call it normal divorce or khul'a. Normal divorce is the husband give the divorce. Khul'a, the wife is requesting or opting out of this marriage. This is just technical difference as far as the naming, and also rulings would differ as well. The normal talaq, whatever we call talaq or divorce, is الذي يقع برغبة الزوج. الزوج, or the husband in this case, is the one who announces that. He will take all the rules that we will talk about. Khul'a is the divorce that's based on the request of the wife. she insists to be outside of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her that. قال الله تبارك وتعالى فإن خفتم ألا يقيما حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به. That's referring to the khula. If she fears that she's not going to come to fulfill the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in regard to this marriage, if she continues, then there is no blame on both of them if she pays him to give her divorce, pays him back what he has paid initially to give her divorce. We're going to talk about khula in a little bit, but I'm talking now about the classification, third classification of marriage based on who is requesting it. The one, if the husband is, if divorce happens based on the announcement of the husband, or he is the one that starts or initiates that, then this is divorce. If it is based on the wives, then this is called khulla, which is one category of divorce. The sunnah refer to, obviously, the husband is the one to give the divorce. Many ahadith, many ayat about that. About the woman, the talaq, divorce requested by the wife. The wife of Thabit ibn Qais came to the Prophet ﷺ. She said, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, Thabit ibn Qais, ما أعتب عليه في خلق ولا دين. Thabit, the son of Qais, her husband, my husband, she's saying, I don't blame anything on him as far as his character or deen, mannerism, everything is okay. ولكني أكره الكفر في الإسلام. But I hate to kind of go backward in Islam. Kufr refers to covering or refers to be ungrateful. She basically doesn't like him anymore, and she's afraid that if she continues, she would not give him his rights for some reason. She is kind of requesting or asking the Prophet ﷺ to kind of give her divorce or khula. قال أتردين عليه حديقته. He said, the Prophet said, are you willing to give him back his farm, which was the mahr for her, the dowry? Qais, Thabit ibn Qais, gave her that farm as a dowry. The Prophet is telling her, are you willing to give him back this? She said yes. قالت نعم. فقال رسول الله اقبل الحديقة وطلقها تطليق. Then the Prophet ﷺ, being the Prophet and the judge as well, he summoned her husband, Thabit, and he told him, take your farm back and give her one divorce. أحكام الخلع, the rulings pertaining khul'a. Khul'a is jaiz, is permissible in Islam, and it always happened for some money to be paid. Whether it's agreed on the amount, not agreed on the amount, but they agree that something is going to be paid, whether it's the dowry or so, for the wife to come out of that, because it's based on her request in this case. Obviously, al-khul', both the husband and wife, if they have any mental issues to affect their capacity of making decisions, and we're talking about not being just crazy in the matter of somebody who cannot legally make decisions for themselves, khul' would not, the request of the wife in this case would not count. Even the divorce of the husband in a case like that, where he doesn't have the mind, would not count. Does not have the mind legally. We have some legal cases where the man or the woman is in a position that mentally, intellectually, they cannot make such decisions for themselves. The minute the man gives the khul' for the woman requests and he accepts, it is so much different from the divorce, from the regular divorce. She is now totally outside of this marriage. He doesn't have any power. He cannot get her back. None of the rules of divorce, many of the rules of the divorce, like raj'a, he cannot, it's irrevocable. It's irrevocable. He cannot take it back. This is one of the differences, unless he restarts that with a new contract. But the minute he agrees to the khula, it's final, it's irrevocable. He cannot divorce her again during the waiting period. After, if the husband announced the divorce, he can take her back. he can divorce her one more time or two more times to make them three. Many of the other rules can happen, but none of that would apply for khula. Also for khula, which is the one based on the wife's request, that can happen at any time. There's no restrictions, whether she has the period, she doesn't have the period, because mainly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving us some guidelines. If it happens from the husband's side, it was mainly for the benefit of the wife, not to make the period too long for her. But now she's the one requesting that. If she's the one requesting that, then she wants it. There is no restriction in that case. Coming back to if it happens, if it's talaq by the from the husband's side, how many times does he can he divorce? Obviously, he's the one, like we said, the husband is the one who has uqdatun nikah, control over this marriage, to give the divorce or keep the wife. Unless, like we said, the wife can opt out either through khula. There are other ways for her to opt out as well that we will talk about in a little bit. But how many does he can he give as far as the adad al-talaqat, or the number of divorces that he can give? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, al-talaqu marratan, the revocable or the talaq, the divorce that he can take back, is twice. Divorce is twice, meaning the one that he can take back. And then he has the third time. The third time he cannot take back. So totally three, two of them that he can revoke or take back. Once he announces the first one, that counts as the first one, no matter what. But he, during the waiting period, only during the waiting period, can take the wife back. If it is the second time, then yes, he can still take her back. Third time, he cannot take her back. Wife can also request not khula but divorce. She can be the person to initiate the divorce, not from her own. She doesn't own the husband. Can come out of nowhere and say the divorce, not saying this is right or wrong, but he is the one who has the control of that marriage contract. But wife can also initiate it, but it has to be through the judge. She has to go to the judge and prove that the husband is not doing his responsibilities. He is not financially supporting her, for example, for the essentials, for what he has to do. He is not giving her his rights, her rights in this case. Then the judge would verify the case, and if this is the case, he would either force him to give her her rights or force him to divorce, or divorce on his behalf in this case. And that's going to be a divorce, not khula. She doesn't have to pay anything, but she has to prove that he is mistaken. He is the one who is not doing his responsibility. But she can always opt out by asking khula. I don't want anything. I'm actually willing to pay him back his dowry. And that is, in this case, will be called khula. I want you to pay attention to something that, subhanAllah, very commonly mentioned in all the ayat, or almost all the ayat of the nikah, all the verses talking about marriage, and almost all the verses even talking about divorce. Allah always talking about ihsan, ma'roof. He's talking about do it in a kind way, keeping them or releasing them, the divorce happening, the marriage happening, the life is continuing or discontinuing. It has to be in kind way. Ihsan, it has to be in the perfect way. Perfect way. Many people nowadays use it as a way of war, unfortunately. And they fight and they make sure, many of them make sure that they make the other person lose badly, whether it's financially or emotionally or whatever. That is not the right way in Islam. The right way is always Allah saying about ma'roof and ihsan, those beautiful, kind, in a kind way. Conditions for divorce to happen. There are some conditions first, or prerequisites. One, marriage should be there. You cannot divorce somebody that you before getting married to first. So aqdun nikah, there should be a marriage contract in place so divorce can happen. The condition number 2, like I mentioned earlier, takamul al-rushd, or the person should be in a full mental capacity. If somebody has some issues to affect their own decisions, legally affect their own decision, they are not mentally in a position to make decisions for themselves or get into contracts, then they cannot. Even if they said the divorce, it would not happen. كالمجنون, somebody is majnoon. Or نائم. Actually, today I got a nap in the afternoon, and I woke up, and my little daughters were around me, smiling because I was talking. I was talking. It wasn't about divorce or anything. I was just talking. I said, "Oh, you were talking about this and that. What was going on?" So if somebody is asleep and he talks, let's say he said the divorce. He said, my wife is divorced or something. He said something like that. Then that doesn't count, because the Prophet ﷺ said, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمُ عَنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ, the pen is raised, meaning there's no responsibility on 3, and he mentioned one of them, al-na'im hatta yastayqidh, the sleeping person until he wakes up. What about the drunk? If somebody got drunk, wine he drunk, or anything he intentionally put himself into, that make him or her, make him in this case drunk, and while drunk he divorces his wife, does this count or not? Give us your opinion in the comments. If somebody who is drunk, totally drunk right now, he chooses to be drunk, he's not forced, he's not mistaken, he didn't drink like I'm drinking water and it happened to be something else. He's decided to be drunk and he divorces his wife, does this divorce count or not? It will count. It counts as a punishment for that person, because إنه متعد بسكره, he chooses to put himself, to cover his mind, to put himself into this case. Actually, all contracts, if he sells his car in this case, it is sold. If he divorces, then it happens as well. The third condition is he should not be forced. If somebody brought someone else and forced him, threaten him, let's say, to divorce his wife, well, it's not going to count. Even if the person announced the divorce is not going to happen. The only coercion or forcing of divorce that will happen is that of a judge. If they go to the judge and the wife proven that he's not doing his responsibility, not providing for her, whatever reasons that can lead to divorce, and the judge told him divorce her and he doesn't divorce, then in this case the judge can force him to divorce her, or judge himself can announce the divorce. And we are talking about a Muslim judge in this case. We're talking about a Muslim judge because all of that is Islamic contract. Muslim marriage contracts is Islamic contracts. The one to sever that, to initiate that or sever that, is the Muslim judge in this case. But again, when we talk about civil marriages that we register in the court, and all marriage should be, you should get the divorce from the court first before you can initiate that, simply because we want to go with all the laws. We're not, we don't want to break any of the laws in here. Finish everything, and then you can do the Islamic way. Again, we're talking about coercion or forcing or ikrah. We have some little technical differences in here. It shouldn't be, it should be some kind of threatening that would lead to killing or would lead to some serious damage. But it's not just someone, it should be coming from someone who's stronger than him. It's a true state of threatening, not a little boy in the street telling him, go divorce your wife or I will throw you with this little rock. And he said, yes, I do. No, that's not threatening. That's not coercion. Coercion should be, there is a state of coercion. There's another technical difference as well. If the one coercing or forcing is saying divorce your wife, and then he said, oh, my wife is divorced 3, then the divorce will happen because he was forced to divorce once. If he divorces 2 or 3, that means it's optional now. He chooses to. So if he chooses to, then it applies in this case. But if he is coerced, uh, then there's no talaq. There's also talaq. What about talaqul hazili wal la'b? If somebody's joking. He said, you know what, you're divorced, to his wife or something. There is a hadith talking about this. The Prophet ﷺ said, ثلاث جدهن جد وهزلهن جد. Three, their seriousness is serious, counts as serious, and their joking counts as serious as well. No matter whether they are speaking seriously or joking, it counts as serious thing. He said nikah, marriage, talaq, divorce, and the raj'ah, taking back the wife after divorce. There's no joking in that. Even joking in that counts as marriage. And there is a problem with the movies and in Islamic countries, and then there's a Muslim man who is in a movie, for example, saying to somebody, saying the word of marriage with this girl. That's not supposed to happen in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you say that, whether you mean it or you don't mean, whether you're joking or not joking, it's the wording in Islam. It's very important. It's very, very important, especially when it comes to marriage, divorce, and taking back the raj'ah, taking back the wife after during the waiting period. Now, a very, very serious problem. Divorcing, Allah said, الطلاق مرتان, twice, divorces twice, and then إمساك معروف أو تسريح بإحسان. Then the third one, you keep or you let go. And then the third one is final, irrevocable. So three. Can the person use the three? Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it three, where they can come back with the same contract, no renewal or anything? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that things will happen. Oh, he didn't mean it in the first time. Going to be a lesson for him. Maybe second time he will fix it. But what happens is some people didn't get it this way. Actually, divorce should not happen based on some kind of mad. You're getting mad, you announce the divorce. It's not meant for that. It's meant to be a rational decision, to be announced after very thorough discussion and studying of the whole situation and trying to fix, and then you come to the conclusion that this relationship is not working. And it should happen with agreement, actually. That's the right way. But it shouldn't be just like we disagree about something and then the divorce happen. Actually, this is my advice for husband and wife. To first night they get together, even before they agree that the divorce word should be taken out of their dictionary. They don't even consider this word unless they come to a serious point, and then they discuss, and then they get people to they have counseling, seeking counseling, whatever. Then they would know that the divorce is needed in this case. But it's not just a word. I receive a lot of cases. Oh, I didn't mean it. I said that to my wife. It's not really meant. But coming back to what if somebody announces the three together? According to the four madhab, we are discussing all the rulings now according to madhab al-Imam al-Shafi'i radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wa an al-a'immat ajma'in. This is the school of thought of Imam Shafi'i. But the four schools of thought of the Sunni Muslims, they all agree that if you announce the three, they will count three. You announce the three divorces, it's irrevocable. But honestly, there is some new ijtihad, modern ijtihad from some scholars and some early scholars here and there. They said that is not meant by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's meant to be used wisely. So if he said three times, that is actually announcement of one divorce. And that's what I personally adopt in most of the cases right now, because otherwise you will be breaking and ending a lot of relationships because it's somebody who is reckless. I'll just say a reckless husband who just announces the divorce like that. Actually, in some cases, they announce it many times in different occasions. That's a different story. But if somebody announces it three times, according to Madhab al-Imam Shafi'i and the four schools of thought, it counts. It counts three. Again, that's not meant for fatwa. For fatwa, specific cases, reach out to your imam, scholar that you trust for your specific case. But you need to be very, very careful when it comes to divorce and talking about divorce. You don't want to mention that at all. Why do you want to destroy all the bridges between you and your wife, or between the couple. You might come back. If you have to announce the divorce, first of all, make sure it's a rational decision. Second, do it once. You're divorced. That's it. Leave some way for you to come back. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Can it be conditional? Like you say, if that happens, you will be divorced? Yes. The divorce, unlike nikah itself, getting to nikah in the first place, divorce can be conditional. You said, if you do that, you will be divorced. If you come out of this house, you will be divorced. That if that condition happen, whatever the condition that he makes the marriage contingent upon, if it happens, then the divorce would happen based on that. There is also تفويض الطلاق إلى الزوجة. The husband can defer the decision of divorce to his wife. It's his right, but he can say أمرك إليك or فوضتك في الطلاق. You can say you own your own self or your divorce if you want to divorce yourself. In this case, she has to decide right away. That is not an open check that he gives her. She can think and come back tomorrow and say, yes, I'm divorced, or I divorced myself. No, it doesn't work this way. According to Madhab al-Imam al-Shafi'i, the husband can defer his wife on the spot. He said, it's up to you if you want to divorce yourself. If he said that, then she has to decide on the spot. It's offer and acceptance. He offers that, or he leaves that to her. If she accepts, or if she said, yes, I'm out of this, or I'm divorced, then it will happen. But if she waits, then there is an interval or a period after the offer, between the offer and acceptance, that would make it not acceptable in this case. That is based on the ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِيُّ قُلْ لِأَزْوَاجِكَ إِن كُنتُنَّ تُرِدْنَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَزِينَتَهَا فَتَعَالَيْنَ أُمَتِّعْكُنَّ وَأُسَرِّحْكُنَّ سَرَاحًا جَمِيلًا. Surah Al-Ahzab, or the Confederates, verse number 28, where, the story is the wives of the Prophet saw a lot of money coming, and he was just spending, he was leading a very tough life. They were requesting more money and everything, but him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being the leader, he was spending leading very economical life. So they were requesting and requesting and requesting. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, go and tell your wives, if you want life and the enjoyment of this life, you come, I'll give you the money, but we have to separate. We have to divorce. You go your way, I go my way. I can give you some good amount of money, but that's going to be the end of our relationship. Or if you continue with me, basically, that will be, you have to lead that kind of life with me. They choose to be with him. But the point is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet to give his wives the option. If you want to continue or you want to be out. So that's the tafweed, or deferring the decision from the husband to the wife. She has to decide on the spot. This is basically, I would say, quick presentation of the rulings of al-talaq in Islam. There are so many little details here and there. It's not meant to be fatwa. Fatwa is the rulings in a specific case, because in each specific case there are so many variables. You have to discuss that with a mufti, with somebody that you trust, so he can have all the details, and he can give you the opinion, his opinion based on his knowledge or based on Islam. Allah Ta'ala A'lam. If you have any question, inshallah, for me, you might message me, inshallah, and I will get to these messages. جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.